welcome to QI, where tonight we're cavorting with the K-folk. Please welcome the kind-hearted Katherine Ryan. The keen-eyed Josh Widdicombe. The king-sized Phil Jupiters. And kiss my keister if it isn't Alan Davies. And tonight their buzzers have a story to tell. Katherine goes. Josh goes. Phil goes. And Alan goes. I hope you were sitting the right side of the branch, Alan. So, we start in the Kalahari. So tell me, how did the meerkat cross the road?
Carefully. That's not a life-size one, is it?
That's not a... Well, it is a life-size one.
Really, I'd say it was in the foreground, except there's a bit of road before it.
Yes, it's confusing,
It's
isn't
just
it?
a very tiny car.
It's a dinky car.
Do they cross in a group? Like, you know, when you see those kids in the reflective jackets?
Yes.
Snaking across the road with some sort of handler. I think that's what children have.
Well, meerkats are, despite their cutesy reputation, they're pretty mean, fierce animals. And they have levels of superiority. And the leading meerkat sends across the less important meerkat to test the road. And it's the youngsters...
That'll be you tonight,
Do you want me to test it tonight?
It's your first time, you have to cross the set.
Unbelievably, it's the children they send.
The children?
They send their little...
Once again, that'll be me tonight.
Well, we do the same. We do the same with buggies, right? You push that straight out to the road before you.
So what are they testing? That it's not going to get hit by a car?
Yeah, exactly. Basically, that it's safe. And if the youngsters get gobbled, they go, oh, I'm not doing that.
Do they not understand that there might be another car in a minute?
It seems odd, but...
Well, they must be killed by a car, so we'll all be fine.
Are the tiny meerkats wearing high-vis jackets like human children do, or do they just rely on their own gorgeousness?
I think they rely on their own gorgeousness. But the leading, the sort of head, not exactly... you see, you're going,
I don't fancy that one at the bottom's chances, if that's all right.
Exactly. He knows he's about to be
coming.
sent.
That one behind him is just about to do that.
You have alpha females with meerkats, and in fact they kill each other's children. What? Yes, they're pretty nasty animals when it comes to it, I'm afraid. They're not very nice at all. They're child murderers, to be perfectly honest.
Here are 3 young meerkats crossing the...
Two have spotted the vehicle.
Well, the youngest one...
Barry did not.
Unfortunately, because of the adverts, a lot of people have bought them as pets, and they very soon abandon them because they're smelly, they're aggressive, and they attack people they don't know.
But you know what? These
People are like
people have never died crossing a road, have they?
No, they haven't, exactly.
And the meerkat always worried that someone's about to kick them in the knackers.
They do have that look too.
Looks like someone's about to take a free kick, doesn't it?
It does.
The only thing that could make that picture even more gorgeous would be 3 tiny pianos.
Meerkats know each other by their calls individually, and you can send a meerkat almost insane by recording one meerkat's voice that it knows, playing it in a certain area, and then whizzing round to another area and playing it again. And
Why would you do that, such a thing?
It's very mean, but they get utterly baffled by the fact...
Barry!
How can you be in 2 places at once? There is no meerkat called Barry, by the way, but it's... No.
You could do that with a human voice, because we recognise everyone through their voices
True,
as well,
but we
don't
also know about recordings. So probably yes.
Maybe there was a time when only one person knew about recording. Oh, he had great fun.
Well, there you go. The meerkat road safety code is to send the kids across first. Now, Alan, why will you never eat my noodles?
It was bound to happen that this show would just become about you two.
Just haven't agreed on a fee, have you?
Do you remember we're involving people from countries beginning with K?
Kenya.
Well, which have a particular association, perhaps, with noodles.
Kent.
Kent. Famous for the Kentish pasta. The go east...
Korea.
Thank you, Josh. In Korea, noodles, of course, are very popular.
Of course.
And when will I eat your noodles means when are you getting married? In other words, when are you going to be throwing a party in which you will serve noodles? So it's just a Korean phrase. It's like saying, when are you going to tie the knot? Ah. When am I going to eat your noodles? Well, you're already married, so I'm not going to eat your noodles. And you didn't invite me.
I did invite you.
Oh, you did? No, that's right. I was abroad.
Yeah, you know what you were doing? You were filming an episode of Bone.
Yes, of course.
have been so insulted in my life.
I'm so sorry. Oh, God, how embarrassing. I'm so sorry. Anyway, that's what it means. Here's some other Korean phrases, though. The other man's rice cake always looks bigger. What would be the British equivalent of that?
Oh, the grass is always greener.
Or as my uncle used to say, the other man's arse is always cleaner. If there are too many ferrymen on a boat, it will sail up a mountain.
Is that just literal?
Probably, but maybe.
If they say that in North Korea, the boat is going up a mountain.
That's true. There is a
Too many cooks spoil the broth.
Too many cooks spoil the broth.
So, Stephen, tell me about your childhood.
OK, here's one. He worked as if he were tending the grave of his wife's uncle.
That's brilliant.
What would that mean?
I might start using that.
Not much.
Yes is the answer, because in Korea, it is your duty to tend the graves of your family. But the more distant the family, the less attention you give the grave. So all he was doing was just basically sprinkling a little bit of water on the... It's only his wife's uncle. Whereas his grandfather, his father, or his mother, he'd be putting flowers and being with great attention. So that's
So
what
like
that means.
shagging the dog.
Not really. Not really, Catherine. Is there something you want to share with us? Like shagging the dog?
Yeah, like if you don't work very hard, you're just shagging the dog.
Not in this country, madam. In this country, when we shag a dog, we know what we're doing. And it's pretty hard work.
Not as easy as it looks, I tell you that.
So in Canada, you have the phrase shagging the dog.
Yeah. Or like shagging the sheep if you want. Whatever.
That's not right.
Again, perfectly common practice over here, but not considered a light or unburdensome task.
It just means like having an easy day.
There's a lot I have to learn about Canada.
It's easy because with like a lady, you have to take her out to dinner or woo her a bit. But with the dog, it's just like, here, boy, come on.
You say that. You say that.
Yeah, I just say once he's here, most of the work is still to be done in that situation.
Yes. I'm thinking, oh, let's move on. So, showing off your wrinkles to a silkworm?
You have found a silkworm in your underpants.
Silkworms are pretty wrinkly. So if you show your wrinkles to a silkworm, he's going to go, nah, I can do better than that. So it's like teaching your grandmother to suck eggs.
Oh,
That's what it is.
imagine how wrinkly a silkworm's knackers are.
Exactly. And finally, he disappeared like a fart through hemp pyjamas.
I think that one speaks for itself, doesn't it?
It's a Korean phrase. Awkwardly, basically. Embarrassingly, awkwardly, not with maximum grace. Now, who are these men, and what do they have for breakfast?
The guy, there, front left,
Yes.
he looks like he's having a Calippo for breakfast.
Very early Filippo commercial.
Very early Calippo commercial, absolutely right.
The next
I think
break
the lifestyle element of the Calippo commercial all wrong.
Calippos have changed over the years. Exactly, when first made, they were for poor mining workers.
Well, this is a poor village.
Is that the Dales? Is it Yorkshire?
It's not.
Is it the north?
It's remoter. It's British, but remote.
Is it Devon?
Hebrides.
The Hebrides is right, and it's the remotest of all of them,
Okay.
and the largest.
Seaweed? Do they eat seaweed?
They do. They lived for 1,000 years. This
On
community.
kittens.
These
On
men...
Calicos?
For 1,000 years, this community was isolated from Britain. They lived on gannets and skewers and puffins. It's the largest puffin colony in Britain, the largest gannet colony in the world. So can you think of the name of the island?
Is it? No, I can't.
It's St Kilda. St Kilda. And who was St Kilda? I'll give you 10 points if you can tell me.
Patron saint of ducks.
Was St Kilda male or female?
Male.
No.
Female.
No. St Kilda was not a saint. It's merely, unfortunately, a sort of...
Font?
It's an Old Norse word for a shield, skilda, and it just became St Kilda. But it's not a saint at all. So it's known as St Kilda. And it wasn't until 1930 the last 36 natives of St Kilda voluntarily left their ancestral home. But oddly enough, they were given jobs in the British Forestry Commission, and there hadn't been trees on St Kilda for 1,500 years. So none of the St Kildans had ever seen a tree before. Jobs in forestry. What the fuck is that?
I imagine. I mean, because they're big. I mean, they really...
Trees are big.
Orcs!
It's a...
Did they want to come to Britain?
Sorry?
When we brought them all over here in the 30s.
Yeah.
Weren't they resistant?
No, it was voluntary. I mean, this was a place that was so windy that literally sheep were blown off the cliffs. It was terribly sad. And there was one windy period where, for a week afterwards, they were all deaf. I mean, it was a pretty hostile climate.
I so I'm very confused because I feel like until you told me about the wind and the dead sheep, it sounded like a beautiful place to live.
I know,
Because
yeah.
it's sunny, and like in the 30s, nobody wanted to live here. No offense.
It now sounds a bit more like Canada, doesn't it, to be honest? Sorry, no, don't.
And it's like, you know, they had all these delicious birds, like the original Nando's. I would like to live there.
Yeah.
I want to find a Kilder and see what they're about.
Yeah, I dare say you could visit it. What we saw was actually the Parliament, the men only, gathering. That's their Parliament, and they talk until...
Cabinet meeting.
Are they split down the middle by
They
party?
talk about what the issues of the
I'm
day.
holding the Calippo. It's my turn to speak.
The worst thing is that dog in the middle is the Prime Minister.
No, he's the Minister of Forestry.
Anyway, let's move on. If you follow a cool grinder, where will it get you?
It's not, no. It's not that, no.
What?
No.
What
that
can you be
thing,
thinking?
that application.
I can't
That thing.
imagine what you're talking about.
Yes, you know. Turn it on now. How many are in the studio? I bet...
I imagine your outfit will set it off straight away.
I'm just bare-baked.
This is
it's
nothing
not-
to do
nothing to do with
with
that.
the gay man-on-man action app. No.
OK.
Cool grinder is spelled K-U-L-G-R-I-N-D-A. It's a rather remarkable thing that exists in the Baltic, particularly in Lithuania, but also in Kaliningrad.
Naturally occurring phenomenon?
No, it's a man-made phenomenon, which is a very cunning way of deceiving your enemies, running away from them or causing them to drown.
Making a Misty Fog thing?
No, what you do is you make stepping stones that are under the water,
A cunning...
which are enough for you to stand on, but only you know where they are. The really cunning thing is how you lay them. In the winter, it's incredibly cold, so you get these huge stepping stones, put them in a line across the ice, and as the ice melts, they drop and form a line. And if they're big enough, you can actually drive a coach over them.
I mean, you've got to be pretty sure you're going to be chased soon to go to that trouble.
The Estonians and the Gradians were pretty often at war. There was a lot of war going on.
I think we will be chased in the summer.
They were actually convinced.
Which way should we go? Over the river?
It was...
I'm going to make a cool grinder. Will you help? Only if you're certain about this chase. Tell me more about it. Who's involved?
Basically, you set it up and then you start a game of It in about June.
The most famous one is the Siatuva swamp, which the Lithuanian explorer Ludwik Krzyzewski navigated by coach in 1903. And he wrote that at the deepest point, the water was up to the sides of his horse. So it's really impressive little things.
I'd say the most famous one is the one Jesus used to trick everyone in the Bible.
That's true. Cool grinder are ingenious secret paths through Lithuanian swamps which allow you to make a quick getaway from your enemy, if necessary. What is there to say about long-necked Karen?
She's got lovely eyes.
You're always the first to see the nice...
One of those family fortunes ones, isn't it? We've had this before.
Oh, yes, survey said...
Name a bird with a long neck. Goes Naomi Campbell.
This is clearly not the
No,
only...
emu.
Karen is the answer here. Who is this Karen?
Tom Cruise always likes girls, like tall girls with long necks, but then he doesn't let them wear heels around him.
No, because he is not the tallest man in the world.
Well, then why date the girls with the long necks?
So they can spot predators.
Also... Say again?
Oh, hello. Tribe? Is it a tribe?
Tribe.
The Karen tribe.
The Karen tribe.
Oh, hello. All right. Lovely. Hiya. All right.
The neighbouring Tracy tribe. Tracy.
Stay away from Gary. They come to Gary's. Bothered.
But the tribe we're talking about are the Padung Karen tribe from...
Do they put the rings around the...
Exactly, let's have a look at
extending
them.
over time.
There we are.
Oh,
wow. Wow, isn't that impressive?
Looks like she's kind of been bred
Impressive if she
with a
takes it off.
slinky.
They're so-called giraffe...
At the end of the day...
Well, they can't at the end.
Beryl, why are the curtains on the...
You know when you have a jack-in-the-box ready to go?
Oh, yes. Ba-ding!
Rather than go down, it's just...
The surprising thing is that X-rays show that their necks...
They can't have any more vertebrae, can they?
No, X-rays show their necks are not longer than normal people's.
What's going
We're all
on?
hunchy.
I mean, that does look quite long, but it's actually what's lower is the collarbone, or are the collarbones.
Wow.
They're supposed to wear them until they get married, but a lot of them keep them on forever. It's a sign of beauty traditionally, although it's supposed also to protect them against tigers who will attack them by the neck. That's one theory.
It was great. I always thought, okay, maybe they're like sacred. All right, it looks pretty. Tigers, I'm totally with it now.
Yeah, it's tiger-proof. It's
Put those around your neck.
Exactly.
All right.
Most of them now live in Thailand, having fled Burma, and you can pay to go and see them. There's another nearby tribe who also wear brass coils, not only around their necks, but around their lower knees and arms.
I don't think this is so mad, really. I think I get it with the tigers. And here you've got Katie Price doing loads of crazy stuff to her body and all her friends. And they look lovely, but they're like orange and they've got fake hair and fake nails. How is this worse?
You're absolutely right. Yeah. Thanks to Catherine, naturally, for that good observation. Now, where's the best place to keep a load of old rubbish from the 1980s?
My loft.
Your loft. No, this is a story you're not likely to know, but it is a 16-year voyage of a ship called the Kiangsi, trying to offload rubbish from Pennsylvania. In 1986, it was loaded with 15,000 tons of non-toxic ash, bound for dumping in the Bahamas. So they said no. So they went to Puerto Rico, Bermuda, the Dominican Republic, Honduras, Guinea-Bissau, and the Netherlands Antilles. They all said no. Then they cunningly reclassified the cargo as topsoil fertilizer and managed to get rid of 4,000 tons of it in Haiti. And then they were rumbled and sent packing. So they then went to Senegal, Cape Verde, Yugoslavia, Sri Lanka, Indonesia, and the Philippines, and then Singapore, where she was found to be empty. And then the captain and the ship's executives admitted they'd dumped the ash at sea and were jailed. And at the assistance of Haiti, the ship had to go back to pick up a few thousand tons they'd left behind. So eventually, Pennsylvania, where it originated from, took it back, and in 2002, 16 years later, it was offloaded and taken by train to a landfill just 120 miles where it had originally come from. How impressive is that?
I quite like the idea of that boat sailing around and the captain with a teaspoon just going...
Like in a prison yard, bring it out of the bottom.
Yes, exactly. It wasn't toxic, it's just people didn't want American rubbish. Don't say anything. And name the nearest third world country.
Oh, steady. We can get into all sorts of trouble.
Yes,
Oh, hello.
I'm not going to make any jokes about our near neighbours on this fine island.
Let's just say it's as well that you didn't say Wales or Scotland.
I'm too scared to answer.
Let me give you the original definition of a third world nation, then you'll be less embarrassed, all right? French historian Alfred Sauvy.
France!
We jumped the gun, coined the phrase.
Oh, Stephen!
The third world. Le Monde Troisième. In 1952, it meant states not politically aligned with the USSR or the USA, i.e. the Soviet bloc, or with America. So any state that wasn't in some way politically aligned was called third world. Now, which is the nearest one of those to us? France was, although it wasn't a member of NATO, it was politically aligned.
Ireland wasn't it?
Ireland is the right answer.
The one I was most afraid of saying.
Oh, you know. It's only more recently that it became a term meaning poverty. And nowadays, of course, it's not a politically correct word to use anyway. We don't say a third world country, we say...
Developing.
The developing world,
We
exactly.
say a vibrant tourist destination.
Bravo. It's exactly what we say.
Unspoiled, we say.
Unspoiled, exactly. And finally, a really easy one. Does the Paris-Dakar rally start in Paris and end in Dakar, or start in Dakar and end in Paris?
Starts in France and ends in Africa.
Sorry. Anybody else?
Is it neither?
Yes.
Well, I know it ends in Africa.
It doesn't.
I presumed it started
It doesn't
in France.
end in Africa.
Where's it end then?
In South America.
What?
What the heck now? The Paris-Dakar rally has been held in South America for the last 5 years since threats in 2007 from Al-Qaeda. And so the organisers relocated it in South America, absolutely. The Mongol rally starts in England and ends in Ulaanbaatar, which is the capital of Mongolia, as I'm sure you know.
I'd just take a mobile phone rather than doing that.
There you see that
The problem is you can't get the
1990.
signal.
it starts in London and ends in Ulaanbaatar. And what route does it take?
A2.
He's not wrong.
The fact is, any way you want to go, because
A20.
there is no set route. You can just choose to go through whichever
Dover,
countries will
Folkestone.
allow you to get through them. They don't want to cramp the style of the rallyists. In India, there's a very good rally called the Blind Man's Car Rally. A 40-mile race in which blind navigators use a braille map. The drivers are sighted, but they must adhere to the directions given by their unsighted navigators who are using braille.
Even if they know it's going to be a collision. Left, left, left!
Anyway, now we have a knick-knack exploding custard powder experiment. For something to explode, you need certain things. You need something to light, in this case, custard powder. You need something to light it with, and you need oxygen. But you need a little bit more than that, because if I try and light this custard powder, you will see that nothing happens.
Trick custard powder!
It doesn't. The whole point is nothing happens.
Nothing would happen with that.
Because
I bet Heston could make it burn.
he couldn't in this state.
No?
What you need in order to get something like custard or any powder, even metallic powder, to burn and really burn, is one of these ordinary, everyday objects like this. As you may see, I have a funnel, and I have some safety glasses to save my beautiful eyelashes, and I have a lighter.
I miss Jacques Cousteau.
And I have a pump. I have a pump. I have a pump that rather wants to fall over. So we'll raise this here. So it doesn't fall over. OK, now, what I'm going to do...
I don't want to know what you're going to do.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to pour the custard powder in this funnel, and I'm going to present a flame across it. Yes. Yes. Be afraid, be very afraid.
Can I use Adam as a human
No,
shield?
you're the shield!
Oh, my God.
There's flame. There's custard powder in there.
I feel the need! The need for speed!
All I need to do...
Where are you going? Where the fuck are you?
I'm going to the pump. I'm just going to the pump. Because I'm going to pump...
We are now nearer than you!
Can you see what I'm going to do? I'm pumping air...
There's just too many double entendres. You pumping custard.
Stop it. Are you ready for me to pump the custard?
Oh, my God.
Oh, God.
Yes, I'm ready for you to pump your custard.
You need a countdown from the audience.
This is not how I wanted to go.
Audience, I want you to count me down from 3... 2... 1... Wasn't that dangerous?
It's quite warm there, actually.
There's,
I've been sitting there. I could have been ignited. I could have been ignited.
you could have been covered in hot custard.
I told you before you did this experiment.
Which hot and exciting experiment brings me to the little matter of the scores, and they are fascinating. In last place, although he's played it so many times, with -9, is Phil Jupitus. A highly creditable third place with -8, Catherine Ryan. First appearance, second place with -7, it's Josh Widdicombe. Ladies and gentlemen, can you believe your ears? 14 points in the lead with +7 is Alan Davies. Enormous thanks to Catherine, Phil, Josh and Alan. Good night.
Later with Jules, Kane West, Kings of Leon, Sting and Bill Medley in the extended edition at 11:05. And if you missed it, Andy Murray's on Mock the Week tomorrow night. Dara and the team having fun on BBC 2 from 9.